Let's discuss the key developments in the literacy standards that are designed to get many more students towards the level of college and career readiness. Why were these changes needed in these standards? Because in this country we face a fundamental barrier to the performance of children. Precisely what's happened is we've made a lot of progress in the early years of reading. Many more students in this country are now reading effectively at about a 4th grade level. But when you look at the National Assessment of Education progress, in 8th grade we've made virtually no progress. Student reading comprehension over the past 40 years has remained flat in the 8th grade. And that means that over half of students can't adequately read an 8th grade level text. And of course, if students can't read a text of that difficulty with confidence, they're not ready for the demands either of college or of career. So when you think about these standards, we'd ask you to think about them as a spear or a battering ram designed to take down that wall, to do a few essential things differently such that many more students can perform at a college and career ready level by the time they leave high school.
There are several key shifts in the Common Core State Standards that you won't find in most ELA standards from around the nation. First, the standards focus on what students read, not only on what students can do with what they read. So the standards focus on the complexity of text students read because that's consequential for them to be successful in credit-bearing courses once they get to college. And the range of what students read, because we know that about 80% of what students read in their post-secondary careers is going to be informational text. You can think about our own lives. About 80% I know of what I read is going to be informational text. And so we really wanted to put, in addition to literature, really wanted to put an emphasis on reading informational text across the curriculum, even in English language arts classes. A second key shift in the standards is a requirement that students closely read and analyze texts and then back up their claims and their inferences about those texts with evidence. We know from looking at assessment data, NAEP data in particular, that the difference between proficient students and students who score at a basic level or below is the students who are proficient are able to make valid claims about texts and able to support those claims with evidence from the text. A third shift, and this is a really new piece to the standards. I don't think I've ever seen this, and that is something we call writing to sources. It's standard number 9 in writing. And that means that students are writing to text. They're looking at a text, they're reading a text, they're analyzing the text, and then they're putting their thoughts about that text in writing. And we know that that's the kind of writing that's required in college and careers all the time. An extension of writing to sources, which means sort of writing to multiple sources, is research. We've placed a huge emphasis on students conducting research to study a topic, to solve problems. And what we did is made it not so rarefied. So we're not talking about the research project of my day where you did one big research project in school with all the note cards and all the time that it took to do that. Rather, these are short projects, in addition to the sustained ones, where it might take a couple of days, or it might take a week, or 2 weeks. And we start the notion of students conducting research even as early as kindergarten, where there are shared research projects. We want this to be a normal course of what students do all year long. Connected to writing to sources and research is another shift, and that is to put a real premium on students' ability to marshal an argument orally and in writing. We know how important doing that is in both college and careers. Another shift, and really zeroing in and focusing, because most state standards have vocabularies, we've really focused on what we call academic vocabulary, which is the language of power. These are words that go across the disciplines, that you can see in texts across the disciplines. And they aren't words that are often defined. Domain-specific words, for example, which you might find in any one of the disciplines like science, like the word amoeba, are oftentimes defined, but not these words that you'll find that run across texts in different disciplines. We were working on putting a lesson together on Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, and we focused on the words conceive, dedicate, and proposition, all academic vocabulary words that if you don't get the meaning of them, you won't get the meaning of what Lincoln is talking about.
This academic language, which is common in all sorts of complex texts, common in all sorts of language, is essential to student understanding of not texts just in literature, science, and history, but all those texts. So the standards create a special focus on that, and particularly for our English language learners, a master of that core body of academic vocabulary, which offers entree to so many texts, is essential to their growth and success. Sometimes when we summarize what these standards demand, we say it is to read like a detective and to write like an investigative reporter. To read like a detective in the sense of gathering deeper evidence from the texts you read, understanding them fully, and being able to apply them to solve problems and understand more fully the world around you. And at the same time, to write about them clearly, to gather that evidence and presenting it as an argument or information or analysis that demonstrates your literacy in a way that truly prepares you for the demands of college and career.